I like
That
this
makes sense.
stained glass you have back there very much.
I
Did
wish
you?
I could claim it as mine, but I'm dog sitting. So,
Oh, okay. I was about to be like, did you install that glass? Because I've been looking for windows recently and watching a lot of YouTube tutorials on window installation.
weirdly, my parents actually got like piece of stained glass. This is not their house, but they got one because they met in like a space graduate program. So they got like a space themed stained glass and everything, and they mounted it in their door. So it's really beautiful.
Oh,
But so they
cool.
would probably know.
Space themed graduate program? What was their
Um, Aerospace engineering in North Dakota is where they met.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
My dad is an engineer, chemical engineer.
Oh, no way.
Aerospace, I feel like that's a lot more fun as a kid because you get to talk about rockets and yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
definitely.
Very cool.
Um,
Anyway, sorry. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no,
I'm
it's all
taking up our
good.
time here.
So my first question, the book, I mean, the movie is based off of a book from 1774, and it's not one of like the hits that we know of, but it is was very popular in 1774. So where did you come across it for the first time, and then what made you sure that you could update it to a modern audience?
Yeah, it was a book that I was totally unfamiliar with until a class in university in second or third year, might have been third year. And it was just a book I was made to read. The class was coming of age literature.
Hmm.
And I liked it very much, but didn't think much of it at the time and didn't even had no clue that I was ever going to pursue a career in filmmaking. Many years later, it was on my shelf. I just moved to a new place and was moving my books around, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this." And I pulled it down and reread it, and it affected me in a much more powerful way. I'd had my heart broken several times in the ensuing years, and yeah, I just looked at it and I was like, "This feels like a timeless piece of literature with incredible characters and themes and a very relevant story and relevant emotions that it seems nuts that this doesn't exist in as an English language adaptation. And it had been adapted so many times into films, plays, operas, comic books across the world in the years between 1774 and today. So I was like, why not take a swing and add our own entry into the Werther canon?
Yeah. So what was the hardest part to modernize, and then what was unexpectedly the easiest?
Um, one of the parts that it wasn't it what's the it was one of the things that was challenging about it was the book is written as a series of letters from Werther to his best friend Wilhelm. And initially when I was adapting the book, I was like, oh, maybe we'll do phone calls or texts or emails. And then I was like, I don't really want to see someone on the phone or texting all movie. And so yeah, came up with the character of Paul Wilhelm, and brought him in initially just as a device for Werther to have someone to pour all his angst and emotions and into. But then, Paul sort of took off in the writing and became one of my favorite parts of the film, really. I love, he becomes as much as he's a sounding board for Werther, he has his own journey, his own first blush of love, his own conflict with Werther, eventually challenges him, makes him rethink. He's part of he's a catalyst for Werther sort of growing and changing, which is something that's always yeah, so powerful in a narrative. So yeah, thank goodness for Paul.
He is really great. He is a fun little side character. I feel like when you have all these adaptations, I saw this back at TIFF, and it immediately felt like it was like belonged in like the canon of like the 90s Shakespeare adaptations, that it's
Love
like
it.
the side characters are like so fun. Um, but that actually kind of brings me to my next question, and
Yeah,
you touched on it a little bit as far as technology goes. And like it does fit pretty seamlessly with those movies from the 90s because I think they make a phone call or two. Like it's not a big part of the moving the plot along. So why choose to modernize it but not use something that is, attached to all of our hands 24/7?
yeah. I think like one of the discussions we had with the production designer early on and the costumer was that we wanted the film to feel like it was out of time, something that reflected Werther's character because he very much is a person who's out of time. He's this like hopeless, reckless romantic who, he could travel by plane, but he travels by train. He could make a phone call, but why wouldn't he just show up at your door and knock? He has a laptop. He can type on a laptop, but when he really wants to pour his heart into something, he's gonna go to the hotel concierge and get a typewriter. It's there's I think there really is I mean, this is a bit of a side thing, not something I thought about while we're making the film, but I do think there is this uh attraction to um physical things that we can hold. We're in this time where all my photos are on my phone, all my documents are in my computer and hard drives. It's there's something nice about like when you finish a screenplay, printing it out and holding it in your hands and making the revisions by hand and um, you know, getting a little photo printer and printing out a photo of our dog that my daughter can tape into the journal that she writes in every night. And
Mhm.
it's I don't know. So that's a little off topic though. That's I'm just thinking of Sweet Wind, just writing about our dog. Uh where was I go? Why contemporary? Yes, because I wanted to make a version of it that was fresh and set today, but yeah, have it feel like it could be happening sort of any time over the past 100 years. Yeah, sorry, roundabout rambling answer. I apologize.
No, I totally feel the
Yeah.
same way about the tangible things, and I'm a huge proponent of physical media, so I totally get it.
Don't you
Um,
want to hold that record and like look at
yes.
the liner notes and just have it exist? Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy that we've gone away from that, and it makes me sad, but it also makes me happy that there are like all these, underground people who are bringing it back, and I love that so much.
Yes, God, the worst one, sorry, not to take up, but the worst one is when my eldest was a baby. I got
Mhm.
into the habit of reading on my iPad. Like there's a library app and I could just
Yeah.
check out books from the library on my iPad. And I've just continued doing that for the past 6 years. And it breaks my heart when I look at my bookshelf and I'm like, not a lot of new books on the shelf because I'm reading everything from the library on my stupid tablet. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
One like I said, I saw this at TIFF, and the scene that's still stuck in my mind is you can probably guess, I'm assuming. No.
I don't know. Which is
Okay.
it?
It is
Yeah.
the scene in the sample sale with the zipper, which
Oh, yes,
that to
yes.
me it feels like the very like what they call the hand flex in the Joe Wright Pride and Prejudice movie. To me, they're very, very similar. And I was like, this is great. So obviously they weren't doing zippers like that in 1774. So was
No.
that something you created, or was there precedent in it in the novel?
That was something I came up with for the film. Although I will say I love Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice so much. And a few months before prep, well, Chris, I feel like it's a wonderful holiday season movie. And a good friend of ours was visiting, and me and my wife and her friend Natalie sat down and we rewatched the Joe Wright Pride and Prejudice. So good that like
Mhm.
the like the ballroom scene with the dance, like I was like, oh, I love how they're doing this. How can I rip that off? And I didn't quite get there fully, but one day I'll lift all of Joe Wright's shots. It'll be a great triumph.
Well, I already feel it happen. Like I already feel Joe Wright's one of my favorite directors, and I felt like a
Unbelievable.
kinship between the two films, very much so.
I love
There
that thing. That's yeah, very nice.
The relationship between Charlotte, Werther, and Albert is not very simple. Like I feel like a lot of romantic comedies are. It's I don't want to spoil the ending or spoil the journey that they go on, but can you talk a little bit about the dynamic between the three of them and how it goes against the modern genre conventions of a rom-com?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could take credit for any of it, but that's all taken directly from the source material. But I think that's like one of the things that attracted me so much to this story was that it felt like it wasn't like black and white, clear, like, hero, villain, like here's the good person, here's the bad person. They just feel like human beings in the same way that, if you walk down the street and interact with a stranger, people I feel like are generally quite good to each other face to face. Like there are obviously exceptions and there are awful things happening all over the world, but you know, I don't know, there's something about uh like just seeing what's the word I'm looking for? People give each other a little grace. People give each other a little a break, like Albert very much knows what Werther is what Werther's intentions are. Albert's not a fool, but he's not threatened by it. And I think like in, there's a lot of wisdom in Melanie's advice to Charlotte about the Werther situation, the Albert situation. It's, life is long and you will be attracted to people. You will connect with people. You will have friendships with people that grow and change. Um, and I love that, Werther and Albert have this separate relationship. And even with what should be an obstacle between them, they find this, their own kinship, their own sort of rhythm together. And, uh, yeah, it's the essence of the book, and yeah, again, I really wish I could take credit for it.
The film is shot in Toronto, and I saw online a lot of people are saying, I'm not from Toronto, but a lot of people are saying that you beautifully captured the city and it just feels like such a love letter to that town. Is that where you're from? And then did you feel like the city played like a character of its own in the movie?
So I'm not from Toronto. I moved here in 2001. So it's my chosen home. I've lived all over Canada. I was born in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, grew up in Fort McMurray, Edmonton, went to high school in Vancouver Island, university in Montreal, lived all across the country. Seen it all. My brother was at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. I've family in Calgary, all over the place. Like I've New Brunswick and Newfoundland. Like I feel like I know this entire country. And Toronto is my favorite place in Canada. And I've not been to every country in the world, but Toronto's my favorite place in the world. It's it's a city that I feel very lucky to have been able to set the film in and shoot in a way that uh acknowledge the city for what it is. It's been on film before. Like it's not like it's never playing itself, but I feel like more often it's playing New York or Chicago or Detroit or some anonymous city that doesn't exist. And I don't know, there's just it's a really special place, a city of neighborhoods. It's so multicultural. It's so uh uh it's so what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a independent sounds like not the right term. That sounds like I'm hanging a Canadian flag off the back of my truck or something. I don't know. But there's a sense of community and spirit here that I've just never seen quite the equal of anywhere else. And I think it's a beautiful city, even though it's not known for grand landmarks. It's, these yeah, wonderful neighborhoods, wonderful architecture. I love it so much.
Yeah, I totally feel the same. I'm from the States, but the Toronto Film Festivals, I have to go to it every year because the city is just like it's the best city in the world, like you
Oh
said.
gosh, move here. It's
I
great.
would love to, especially now. Um,
Yeah, it's a bleak time, but maybe things will get a
yeah.
lot better. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
My last question for you, it's actually a question that Werther asks Charlotte in the movie. What baby animal is the cutest?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, like the obvious answer is like our puppy who's downstairs. But I feel like I gotta go. Oh, you know what? My daughter would be very upset if I didn't tell the truth. The cutest animal in the world is the axolotl. The axolotl, baby axolotl,
Hmm.
is just ridiculously cute. Yeah,
I don't know if I've seen a baby one, but now I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's a it comes from Minecraft, I guess, and or it doesn't come from Minecraft, but there are axolotls in Minecraft, and the kids they go nuts for them. They love these axolotls.
Well, thank you so much, Jose. It was
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies at a TIFF, and I'm so happy I got to talk to you.
That is so nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you have stained glass in your own home.
Hopefully.
Today too.
You
Yeah.
too.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, guys.